We're back now. Some technical difficulties. Had to restart the phone. There we go. All right. So who's out here? Is there anybody out there? Richard, what's happening? Just gonna give it a couple of minutes here and wait and see how many people come in. What's up? What's up? What's happening? Tom, Trey, everybody, what's happening? Bruce, what's going on, man? I've been eating it, You Hunt, We Cook the last, 2 out of 4 days, I guess, just because I want to eat healthy. So I've had fish there. It's been very, very good. But, you know, I get tired of the place. I get tired of eating the same old stuff. So, right now it is about 86 degrees. Feels like 91. About 75% humidity, 10% chance of rain. The sky is pretty clear, but it's, aside from the haze. Palakapong. Yeah, I like that, but you know, I've eaten it a million times, so I get sick of it after a while. Visibility is only 1.5 miles today, which is pretty bad for here, when it's normally around 5 or 6. And yeah, I mean, you know, it is clear. The sky is clear as far as no clouds, but there's a lot of haze. So, and not much wind. Wind is only about 2 miles an hour. So that's the weather. And I'm not sitting inside because there's a lot of people inside right now, and maybe when they open up at 10:30 I'll go inside, but right now there's too many people. And I wanted to talk about basically staying out of trouble or embarrassing yourself here in Thailand, because I don't talk about this very often, and I wasn't really planning on doing a stream today, but I just thought, what the hell, I'm not sure what's going to happen in Vietnam. How I should be able to stream from there. The 4G is supposed to be inexpensive, just like here, and as good or better quality. So hopefully I'll be able to stream at least a couple times from there. As of today, it looks like my final destinations are Hanoi, which, you know, I'm flying into. Hue. What's the name of that place? Diet Tru, which is next to Quy Nhon, which is central Vietnam. And then I'll go down to, I might go down to, what is that place that one guy told me about the other day, and I looked at it, it's called Pleiku. And it's not a place where there's a lot of foreigners, neither is Quy Nhon. So that's the kind of place I like. I like places where there's not many foreigners. I don't like tourist traps, which is why I'm not going to Nha Trang. And then I'll go to Hanoi. So, yeah, there is an issue. But I'll get to that in a few minutes. Yeah, the air quality here is pretty bad right now. It hasn't been real good lately, but you know, it's a big city. What do you expect? So I was thinking about going to my kids' school today. They're both playing in they're both playing in their little talent contest. Alex has got the prime spot. He's got the prime spot. He's got the spot where he plays all alone. He plays 2 songs. And he told me, he said, I'm turning it up loud. Nobody's going to tell me to turn it down today, like when he plays here in the mall sometimes. And they tell him to turn it down. So he's like, I'm going to crank it up. He's such a kid, such a rocker, man. It's funny because every day when I walk in to his room and he's on the computer, he's listening to like Rainbow, Heaven, Hell by Black Sabbath. He's listening to something by Black Sabbath. He's listening to Deep Purple. He likes Richie Blackmore. So anyway, I was going to go there today, but it's not a big deal for the parents. It's more for the students, so I'm not going to go. But anyway, getting to my my topic of the day. Indeed, patting a tie on the head is not something that it's not something you do. You just don't do it. I mean, maybe if you know somebody really well, yeah, okay, you know, they're not going to make a big stink about it. But you don't walk up to little kids and just pat them on the head, and you certainly don't pat people, adults, on the head. You just don't do it. I mean, you know, even jokingly. And really, you don't. Where's it at? Let me see where I should go in order here. Let's see here. Can't see. Eyes are getting worse. All right, so this is what, 20, looks like 23 things to keep you out of trouble and to help you avoid embarrassing yourself. One of them, as the guy does, you don't touch somebody's head. You don't do it. Another thing you don't do, and even Thais who know you are apprehensive about it, is, and I don't mean know you real well. I'm not talking about some girl who likes you or something like that. You know, you touch her shoulder. You know, you haven't done anything with her. You're not real tight. But just some girl who might like you, or you might like her, and you both kind of into each other. You don't just go and just, you know, like put your arm around him and start hugging him and doing stuff like that. And I'll give you an example. You don't really touch women here unless you've received the sign that you get the go-ahead, you know. But the other day, thank you very much, hauling class, appreciate it. Just the other day, it happened to me, and I didn't, you know, it was completely innocent. There was a girl here working at Starbucks, and we were telling her, you have a piece of hair on your face. It's going across her face like this, and it was kind of sticking out. So I just went, I go, it's right here, and to flick it, and she just goes. She kind of freaked out. I mean, you know, she didn't expect me to. I wasn't trying to touch her. I was just trying to flick the hair away. She kind of like froze up, and I was like, all right, you know, I mean, I know it's not like I don't know her and she doesn't know me. We've talked many times, but she just was uncomfortable. So I was like, all right, whatever, you know, no biggie. So you don't. That's two. You don't want to touch them. Pretty much. Period. You don't want to touch them unless you have the go ahead. You know, they give you the okay. That's a different story. Now let's see if these. Okay, yeah, you see, now this guy, he must have the go-ahead. I think he works with her. These are those guys right there, and the girl. Well, not the girl's Thai, but the guys are all from Israel. And what they do, and it's really painful to watch for me. Because what they do is they stand there. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. They stand there, and then they grab some old lady, and they actually... Oh, please come here, please come here, please come here. And she's like, no, I don't really want to come. And the guy's like, kind of like, will grab her wrist and put a little cream on her arm, and then she's like, okay. Now sometimes they're, you know, they're more tolerant. You know, some people are not that, they're not that strict about it, but for the most part, Thais are. And so these guys, what they do is they walk up to the girl, usually with the help of a Thai girl, and they start rubbing, oh, let me put this cream on you, let me show you. And then what they do is they try to get the girls, the women, usually it's older women, to come in to their little area, which is just basically a kiosk, and let them rub the cream on them and, you know, show them how good it is because it's got, you know, Dead Sea, what is it, Dead Sea salt or whatever they put in there. So, yeah, well, I'm surprised you're here. Haven't seen you in a long time. Now, obviously, you know, I talked about the touching the body and touching the head, but really the first and the one you always remember is you don't speak poorly of the royal family. You know, you just keep your opinions to yourself. That's a big one in Thailand. I mean, I could use that instead of don't speak poorly of the royal family. I could also say avoid speaking controversial in anything controversial. Try to avoid speaking about it publicly to where you're going to get yourself in trouble, because you will. I mean, if a Thai's in a taxi and he says to you, you know, so how do you like my country? What do you think about it? You don't sit there and go, well, I hate the cheating taxi drivers. You know, it's just not, it's not a wise thing to do, you know. The next one, and I like this one, is you don't take a parked taxi. There's no reason for it. I don't care where you are. You don't need to take a parked taxi. And if you're at a hotel that won't get you a taxi that's metered, and I'm talking about Bangkok. In other areas it's different, but then you need to not be at that hotel if they won't help you. If they're in cahoots with the taxi driver, you might want to go somewhere else. So don't take a parked taxi. Number five is only take metered taxis, at least in Bangkok, again, here in Bangkok and many other places, but only take metered taxis. You do not need to get into a taxi that is, you know, if I walked out on the street and a guy said to me, oh, 300 baht, I'd be like, fuck off. Now, I wouldn't say that, but I'd like, later, close the door and I'd walk away. I'm not going to do it. And if I'm in Sukhumvit, I'm not going to do it either. I just don't do it. I never do it. I'd rather walk than give in to these guys. So for me, that's what the big deal is. The problem is there's a lot of tourists who just go, he's only asking for $8. Yeah, he's asking for $8, but the fare is $2. So, you know, it doesn't really make sense to me to do that. That can get you in serious trouble. I don't know where we're at now as far as that, but just about all these can get you in serious trouble. So yeah, you know, just take a meter taxi. I mean, it's guys just give in way too easy. I mean, you know, yeah, it might take 3 or 4 times sometimes depending on where you are and depending on the time of night. But most of the time, I mean, Alvin, what's happening? I cannot remember the last time that I paid a taxi driver a flat fee to go somewhere. In fact, I can't even remember when. It had to have been 20 years. It's been a long, long time. I just don't do it. Now, if I was in Chiang Mai and, you know, there was a tuk-tuk, or, you know, you're coming from the airport and they've already got the fee and you agree to it, well, that's one thing. But I'm talking about, you know, you're standing out on the street. You generally don't do that, okay? Number 6, or the 6th one, they're not in any order, is do not overstay. This is such a simple one. Do not overstay. If you can't put aside enough money to be able to go and cross the border, then you shouldn't be here. It's as simple as that. There's absolutely no reason why anybody should overstay. If I was in the hospital, say, instead of being in the hospital before, yeah, see, what I like about Uber here, it's actually Grab. Grab bought out Uber. But what I like about them is they give you a price, and rarely is that price different from what they quote you. So the other day when I went to the King Ramanine Park, the fare was 172 baht. I gave him 20 baht as a tip because he was really nice. He was very easy to get along with. There was no problems. And it was a car. It was 172 baht. Now, that's what they quoted me. That's what I got. So I like that. But what I was going to say about the overstaying is I was in the hospital, what, 6 months? Wow, it's been, I don't know, what, May? I don't know, 7 months, 8 months ago, something like that. I was in the hospital. And let's say that I had been, really, they banned it. Oh, wow, that sucks. I don't like that when they do that. I prefer what they did in Indonesia, which is they had all these problems in Indonesia with the taxis. And then they've got the Bluebird and the Silverbird and stuff like that. And you can choose which one you want to take. It should be up to the customer. Listen, I personally, I'd rather walk. I don't give a shit where I'm going. I'd rather take a bicycle. I'd rather take public transportation. And that's one of the reasons why I generally try not to take taxis anymore. I take the Songtao, I take the boat, I take the SkyTrain, the subway, motorbike taxis, because I generally have no problems with them. It's the taxi drivers, and even them, I have, I don't know if Grab has any in Vietnam. I don't know. That's something I should know, though. But I'll find out. But anyway, the overstaying, what I was saying is if you're in the hospital, let's say I was in the hospital and my visa was going to expire, and whoever's visa is going to expire. Basically, I could have went to the hospital staff, and I could have said, let me speak to an administrator or somebody. Let me speak to them, and I would say, hey, listen, my visa is going to expire. I need to take care of it. Now, they may charge you a fee. It might be, 2,000 baht or something like that to go and take care of it for you. But they will take care of it for you. You're in the hospital, they'll take care of it. Well, that's what they did here in Thailand, so that's good. But, and if you are, like I've only seen two people that were physically incapable of making a visa run or flying out or whatever, and I know there are probably a lot more than that, but I've only seen two people that I know of who could not do visa runs. A heart attack, and he was in ICU for weeks, and he was completely out of it. He didn't know where he was. Now, I'd imagine that his wife and and the staff taking care of him could have taken care of that visa, or the Thai immigration might have just charged him the overstay and let him get away with it or whatever. I don't know. But most of the time, if you're awake and you're physically capable, the other guy was my friend who had cancer, and he was, for a long time, he was capable of taking care of his visa. And then came the time when he just didn't even know where he was, and I don't think he was worried about overstaying. He didn't have much time left to live, so I don't think that was a concern of his or anybody's for that matter. So really, there's no excuse for overstaying. I mean, I think when I first got here, I overstayed for a couple of days, and it was like 200 baht a day. It wasn't a big deal back then. And then the only other times that I've ever overstayed, and I haven't done it in probably 15 years, is where you go to the airport the day after your visa expires and they give you 1 day leeway. But even that can be problematic if they really want it to be. So that's a huge one. That's really, really big. The next one, do not point with your fingers. Thanks a lot, Alvin. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know, that's a big one for me. I don't know how much it's going to cost me to stream and to have internet the whole time I'm there, because I'll be there between, I'm thinking it'll be at least 12 days. Maybe 10, but I think 12. I think 12 to 14 days. So I'm figuring probably around $30 or $40 a week. Just depending, you know, I don't know. So that's, you know, that's what I'm budgeting, but thank you very much. Yeah, I want to make sure internet, and I don't want to have roaming charges, because that'll be a lot more expensive. I never do that. And I have another phone, so what I'll do is I'll put my SIM card from this phone in the other phone, and then I'll get the SIM card for Vietnam and I'll put it in this phone, and that'll be that. Yeah, the next one, number 7, is don't point with your fingers. Anybody who knows anything about Thailand knows you don't point. You don't, you know, say, hey, you, come here. Basically, you don't do this. You don't do that. You do it like this, the palm down. I mean, this one, you know, I mean, yeah, it may or may not get you in trouble. It's usually not that big of a deal, depending on where you are. You get some hardliners who can be real pricks about stuff like that. The other one is don't use, oh, this is the girl that helped me yesterday. Good morning, Redirect. Don't use your feet. Jared, what's happening? Don't use your feet to point, okay? And actually, it's don't use your feet to point, and don't use your feet to move things, which I've gotten in trouble before. I don't generally use my feet to point. If I was going to point anywhere, it'd be with my finger. But with the feet, you know, like I've dropped money before and reached with my leg and my foot and pulled the money back to where I could get it with my hand. Again, this is something that generally you're probably not going to have a problem with it, but there are people out there, and there are Thais out there who will come and correct you. They will say something about it. So, you know, it's just another thing to you know, it's another thing to learn. Keep it in mind. All right, let me check these off here. So I don't. Yeah, speaking of your feet, you don't step on Thai money. If at all possible, you know, if an act, that's one thing, but if at all possible, you don't deface Thai money. You don't write on it, you don't use your feet and step on it, you don't do anything of the such. Now, let me tilt things back here so you guys can see something. All these people here. So yeah, you be very careful about the money. I've had people tell me that you can't fold your money, but to me, from everything I've seen, that's just complete bullshit. That's a little bit too extreme. Okay, here's one. If you are a female, do not touch a monk. Don't touch a monk. Okay? You don't touch a monk if you're a female. And also, you do not sit next to a monk if you are a female. I don't know how many females are watching, but you don't sit next to a monk, and you don't touch a monk. A monk, if he has something that he's going to give a woman, he will either put it on the ground, he will put it somewhere else, or he will hand it off to a male. Sometimes they have their little assistants with them. So, let's see here. You're a female, don't touch a monk. The other thing is, don't sit higher than a monk. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. You don't sit higher than a monk. It's disrespectful, and you don't do it. It's 10:30, eh?
They're opening up, right? Yep.
They're open, so let's go inside. Hang on a second. See if I can get a decent chair in there. Can't carry everything. All right, time to get out of here. Go inside. Madame. Hi, Tio. That one's a cheeky one. Very cheeky. All right, let's see here. Okay. Let's get back to the list here. Complete with notes. All right. So yeah, if you're a female, the monk thing is a big one. That's a very serious matter. Now, another one that some people they just don't understand it, and it's very simple. At 8 o'clock in the morning and at 6 in the evening, 6 p.m. in the evening, they play the King's Anthem every single day, and they play it in the movie theater also. Now, when they play it, you're supposed to stand up. You're not supposed to stand up and keep yapping to somebody. You're not supposed to stand up and play video games on your phone. You just stand up at attention, and that's it. It's it's a minute. It's not a big deal, but you do that out of respect for the king, for the country, for the culture, And if you don't, people will say something to you if they see you doing it. I've seen several people where they were yapping and saying things, and they were in the movie theater, and the Thais have said something to them. Like, it's not polite. I can't stand the music they play here. You're better off going inside a Starbucks and listen to this shit. You know what? There's only 3 people in there. Xiang Dang. Okay. Let's just get out of here. All right. You can't change the exposure here. I don't like that. So here we are. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, not including the people from Starbucks. Okay. So standing during the King's Anthem is a big one. I got another one here now. And I actually got into it with a girl about this many years ago. If you are a female at Lumpini or Rajdamnern Stadium, the Muay Thai stadium, the boxing stadium, they have boxing there too, but if you are a female, you never ever touch the ring. Period. You don't go to the ring and stand at the ring and put your hand on it and lean on it. You just don't do it. Because the Thais believe that women bring evil spirits. And I was, when I was working at the stadium and taking photos, I had access to where I laid down, like several people do. They either stand up in the corner or they lay down on the ring. The ring is big enough because they don't want people flying out of the ring. The ring extends out a good, I don't know, foot and a half or two, and so you can lay on the ring, under the bottom rope, and take photos. But I had a girl come up to me in Lumpini Stadium. She came up to me and she got on the ring, and the Thai goes, no, you can't. Good morning, everybody. She's like, no, you can't. The guy was, telling her you can't be on the ring. She's like, why? And he was telling me, because he didn't speak any English. He was telling me, and I told her, I said, listen, here, this is, Thailand, in Lumpini and Rasdamnern stadiums, and many other stadiums, a woman is not allowed to touch the ring. And when a woman goes into the ring, she doesn't go over the top rope like a male does. She goes under the rope. And the reason for these things is, it's not that the Thais want to be mean. It's that when a fighter goes into the ring, they have something called, it's like an armband. It's called a prajian. And they have something like kind of like a headband. It's an ornament for the head. It's called a mongkol. Both of those are blessed, and supposedly, according to Thais, they allow the fighters to have magic inside of the ring. That's their power, their magic. So when a woman goes in, something about menstruation and female, juju, it takes that magic away from the people who go into the ring. That's what they believe. Now, this is, it's strictly adhered to. There are signs up that say this. Women don't lean on the ring or whatever. And this girl got pissed, and I was like, hey, honey, this ain't your country. If you don't like it, don't come. Go to another stadium. And they started building stadiums where women could go, in all fairness. But they can't go anywhere else. Like Lumpini or, I buy into it also. And I look at it this way. I just put up this video in the forum about soft language. I thought it was fantastic. It was George Carlin talking about language 50 years ago or 100 years ago. What was it, 70 years ago, versus language now. For instance, shell shock. And the phrases keep getting longer. But in the past it was shell shock. Then it went to battle fatigued. And now it's post-traumatic stress disorder. And they've done that all across the board in just about every area. You can't say disabled anymore, or supposedly you're not supposed to say it. You can say whatever you want. Now they say, physically challenged or whatever. So I think that the way that society capitulates to people who have issues, I think sometimes they go too far. I understand you do it sometimes, you give in sometimes, and you go, okay, it's probably not a good thing to say that. But this is what I mean. So I'm glad that the Thais don't capitulate, they don't give in very easily, and I'm very happy about that, especially when it comes to sports. And let me tell you, there's a lot of women out there, they will beat the shit out of the men. There's some really, really good Muay Thai fighters that are female. So I do think that they should be allowed to fight. I just think that they should go by what the cultural rules are in the sport. That's all. It's my opinion. So, I already said don't overstay. I put that in twice. Of course, don't use drugs. You got to say that. I'm not saying that, the occasional toke or whatever, is going to get you in a ton of trouble if you're with the right people. But what I am saying is, if you go around, and you got a bunch of hash in your pocket and a couple of doobies rolled up, in a bag of weed, and you know you just whiffed a couple lines of coke and you've got a little vial in your pocket, you're probably asking for trouble, you know, because if you do get caught, you're going to have a hell of a time. Let me say something. You know, I went to court. I don't know how many years ago, but it's been a long time. I went to court. I talked about this before. There was a guy that I would go out. You know, this is when I was still going out at night, but I was married, and I was going out, you know, hanging out with my buddies and stuff. And I had gone to Nana Disco, Angels Disco at the time. And I saw some guy, and he was, you know, giving me a bit of a hard time, and, you know, doing the whole, you know, shoulder into me when we were walking by each other, you know, just kind of bumping me. And I was like, what a dick, you know. And so finally, one day I saw him at Derme, and he started some, you know, he started some problems. And, you know, he got hit. I hit him. And several times. And so I had to go to court. He was supposed to go to court. He didn't show up, of course. And going into a Thai court, it sucks. Because, first of all, they're not going to make allowances for you. They're not going to say, oh, you know, this guy has never been in court before. We're going to use all these words, and he may not know what the fuck we're talking about. Oh, well. You're going to have somebody translating, or you're going to have somebody there with you that is willing to try to help you at a level that most people are unable or unwilling to help you with. And it was very difficult. So imagine if you are someone and you get caught with some ecstasy or something like that, or you get some mushrooms. You know, the mushroom shakes are big down in Koh Samui. You know, you get caught with that stuff for whatever reason, and the Thai, let's just say that the Thais feel like being difficult, the Thai police. You're fucked. At best, you're gonna have to pay, you know, a couple $1,000s, and you're gonna stay in jail for maybe a week. That's the best case scenario. At worst, you know, they could threaten to execute you. So it pays not to get involved with the drugs, you know. Now, it remains to be seen what they do about the medical marijuana, how they go about that. I haven't heard anything more about that, and I'd like to hear more about it, but I haven't. All right. I'll check it. What? I don't know what. Longhorns apparently is leaving his condo and moving to another location because he's leaving Thailand on Sunday. So he's been messaging while I'm streaming here, trying to keep up with it. But the other thing is, maybe you should get on a. Say maybe you should get on a bus to Pattaya. It just came from there. Well, I don't know why he just didn't stay there. Yeah, dress conservatively. That's another big one. You know, dressing nude on the beach, no. G-string, you know, where, you know, your butt hairs are hanging out as a woman, no. The Speedos is highly questionable. This ain't Europe. This is Thailand. And then, you know, I saw a girl the other day, and I mean, she had a cracking body. I'll give her that. It was cracking. She was a hottie. But she was wearing these jeans, and you could see, you know, like half of her butt cheeks, of each butt cheek. And then she had this, like, what do you call the little string blouse on? You know, she had one of the little blouses held on with a string, and she had rather large, voluptuous breasts, and they were bouncing around all over the place. No bra, and people were staring at her. Now, she's here and she's dressed very provocatively. Not the wisest move as a woman, but even guys, like I've seen guys walk into Starbucks here, no shirt on, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? Put a fucking shirt on. I mean, Jesus Christ, even if, I mean, I've come in here with a sweaty ass shirt on, And, you know, because what am I going to do? I'm going to stand here. I don't care how good my body is. You think I'm going to stand here and, you know, take it all off and stand here? Oh, could you please give me a coffee? People here, they don't want to see that shit. You're not down at the beach, and even at the beach, unless you're on, at least if you're on the beach and there's like a little bungalow bar or something like that, that's a different story. If you're a chick and you're in a bikini and you're on the beach, that's a different story. But if you're like, if you got like just enough bikini to cover the piss flaps, and and you know, you've got a G-string on, you got a G-string on that is, you know, you can see the chick's ass hairs, or the Europeans going nude. Yeah, I understand it's their culture, but this is not their culture. And so the fact that they refuse to respect the culture here says a lot about them. So, you know, this is the thing. Know before you go. And if you don't like the way that the culture is here, then don't come. Simple. Very simple. You know, listen, I like chicks that are dressed sexy too, but, you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, it's a good thing that some chick is walking around in the middle of Bangkok somewhere, or the middle of some city, and she's got her, you know, her tits hanging out. I never forget, many years ago when I had first moved here. I wasn't married. I went out with my buddy from the Netherlands and his girlfriend, had massive breasts. They were huge. They were huge, and you know, they were flopping around all over the place. She never wore a bra. You can always see her nipples. We went out to some club, and she was dressed in a really short mini skirt where her underwear was showing, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God!" And her tits were bouncing all around. I mean, you know, I was like, "Hey, she's sexy." Oh, okay. In PDO. 1 o'clock, all right. Well, I'll be done streaming here in, what time is it? It's almost 11. I'll be, yeah, well, that's the other thing. I'll be done streaming here in a little while, and I'll start messaging back and forth. Because I got a couple of errands to run here, but, which is, I didn't want to come out, but let's see. Yeah, so sorry to say that dressing conservative is part here of the culture. And you'll see that, well, there are women that they do dress sexy. A lot of times you'll have even the bar girls. I mean, oh man, I gotta sneeze. Need a napkin, hang on. What sentence was that? Oh, well, I understand. It's like saying Africa. Everybody in Africa, they're different. They come from different cultures, even though they're African. It's the same thing with Europe. Europe is a continent. There are many different countries, and they're much different. Gesundheit. Thank you. So, you know, that's the bottom line. And it goes for guys, too. Let me tell you something. I've seen some Thai guys who they're wearing they're wearing skimpy. I'm not gonna say it. They're wearing skimpy little tiny, you know, blue jean shorts and little tank tops, stretched, and you know they're showing everything pretty much. I mean, you know, when you can see ball sack, that's too much. I mean, you know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I haven't been there so long. I want to go back. No PDA. That's another one. If you don't know what that is, public displays of affection. Public displays of affection. You know, maybe in the States you can hang out on the corner with your girl and you're playing grab ass and you're, you know, you're smooching on her and you're kissing her all over and oh baby, baby, I love you so much, you know. She's got her hand on your crotch and that's okay, but here it's not okay. I mean, holding hands is about the extreme. If you're at the airport, you know, a little kiss goodbye, okay, fine. People aren't gonna get upset about it because they understand. But if you're like sitting in Starbucks and you're like sitting in a corner making out with somebody, people will say something. It's just, you just don't need to do it. Now, if you're in you know, some go-go bar in Pattaya, it's doubtful that somebody will say something. And it usually happens when people are shit-faced. I've done a few things in my day that I'm not so proud of now. Well, maybe I am proud of them, but you know, they happened because I was inebriated. But it wasn't really out in the public. So, okay. Now here's a good one. Do not whistle at night. I've seen that many Thais don't do. They either think you're very happening. Isn't that changing? Because I've seen very slowly, very slowly. It used to be that people didn't even hold hands in public. Now, obviously, that's a lot more prevalent. And the making out thing, it's mainly the really young people that I've seen doing that. And if somebody sees them, they look at them with complete disgust, you know. You wouldn't see, like, listen, I mean, I ride the Song Tao and I've ridden the bus, been on the boat, and I never see people macking on each other. It's generally really young, you know, like 14, 15-year-old kids who think they're not being seen, but they are. Or maybe they just don't care, I don't know. But the whistling at night is interesting because, you know, Thais are big on ghosts. Most Thais, the vast majority, 99.9%, they believe in ghosts. They believe in ghosts and evil spirits. And so if you're whistling at night, supposedly you are beckoning the evil spirits. Now, I don't know how many Thais believe in this, but I've read this and I've heard of it. And I know that if I start whistling, after a couple minutes, my wife will, you know, maybe it's just because she doesn't like me whistling, but, you know, sometimes we'll go, oh, you're so happy. But, like, my wife, she'll be like, will you shut up? Please stop that, you know. She gets irritated by it. Now, I know that she believes in ghosts. She will tell me sometimes, you know, I was sleeping and this so-and-so, I'm not going to talk about who it was or whatever, but out of respect for them, but, you know, she'll go, oh, I saw her or I saw him or whatever, and, you know, it freaked me out, and I know that there's somebody here or something like that. I mean, you know, and that's part of the reason why they don't want to move into an old house. People don't want to move in there because they think that there's ghosts or spirits there, evil spirits. They'd rather move into a brand new one, you know, so the juju is good, you know. Let's go on here. Evil spirits. Okay. Now this is an easy one. I don't particularly like tuk-tuks, period. I don't like them in Chiang Mai. I don't like them anywhere. Yeah, welcome to the club. Well, then, I mean, why would someone want to whistle, period? You could make that argument. People whistle, okay? I don't particularly like tuk-tuks anywhere. I don't care where they are. I just don't like them. Even in Chiang Mai, where they are several steps above the tuk-tuk drivers here, or say down, you know, like in a tourist area. I don't trust them. I don't like them. I don't think that it's a good idea to take them, especially if you're somebody who's new here. But especially, do not get in one if they tell you that they're going to take you to a great gem shop, there's a special gem show or some shit like that, or that for 20 baht they'll take you around the city all day. Just don't do it. It's better you just, you know, you want to take one, then just say, listen, buddy, I'll give you 200 baht. Take me around for an hour. That's what you get. Boom, you're done. You get off, you know. If you really want to take a tuk-tuk ride, that's what you do. But you don't just get into one because he's going to take you to a gem shop. And I'll never forget the first time when I came here, the very first trip, I almost fell for it. And I was just like, nah, it ain't right. And I was at a temple. And it was the temple over by Soi Room Rudi, which is, it's between Wireless and Soi Nana 1. If you go from Soi Nana 1 and you go down a little ways, down Sukhumvit a little ways, on the left-hand side is Soi Room Rudi. And you just keep going down, and then on the left-hand side at the end is the temple. If you keep going straight, you're going to go right through a bunch of houses, through a canal, and you end up behind Lumpini Police Station, which is the first Muay Thai gym that I ever trained at. I don't think there's even a gym there anymore. But on the left-hand side is a temple, and I went to that temple. And the driver said, oh, the temple's closed today. Now, it did look closed. There was nobody there. He's just like, oh, the temple's closed. And I don't know what you're saying, so you're gone. Sorry. Boom. Can't speak in Spanish on the station, on this channel, on this bat channel if we're not speaking in Spanish. I'm sorry. Oh, they do. They do. And anytime I see a foreigner talking to a tuk-tuk driver and they're, you know, being overly friendly to the driver, I think to myself, oof, they're going to learn. They'll learn on their own. You know, I don't get involved because doesn't matter to me. It's none of my business. But I was at the temple, and the guy was like, oh, they're closed now. I take you to the gem shop. And I was like, what the and I thought to myself, he said something about this was a special day, and there was no tax, and none of this, and none of that. And I thought, wow, I could buy something for $500 and bring it back to the States and pay for my whole trip, you know. And you know, fortunately, I didn't do it. I came close, though. It was pretty close. I thought about it, believe me. I was thinking, you know, but then I remembered something that if you're a little bit too greedy when the situation doesn't seem right, that's usually when you get screwed. You know, you know, whenever there is a deadline that, you know, you can only do it today. It's only today. Tomorrow there's no more savings. Generally, all that's bullshit, you know. What else? Did I skip anything here? Yeah. All right, now this one's not a real big one, but it does show something, and that is that here in Thailand, you don't. Let's say you're right-handed, you don't use the fork to eat your. You don't use your fork to eat with. You use the spoon, and you push the food with the fork into the spoon to eat. Not a big deal, but someone who is really sharp, you know, if there's a Thai and they're looking at you like, they're trying to figure you out, they'll know. It's just something, it's something to learn and it's not going to get you in trouble, and it's probably not even going to embarrass you. It might embarrass you a little bit. But, that's how things are done here. So if you want to show, and I don't always stick to that. I mean, there's times when I'm like, screw this, man. But, generally, I like using the spoon more than I like using the fork. With the exception of maybe with noodles, with noodles, that's a different story. It's a little harder, but I mean, I'll use the sticks, I'll use whatever, it doesn't matter, that's just a little something that, you might want to remember. And then last but not least, or at least that I thought of, and I've said this many, many times, is, don't lose your temper. If you're going to lose your temper, keep it to yourself and don't escalate, because that's when you get in trouble. Doesn't matter what the situation is. You just can't do it, because then what happens is the ties shut down. Let's see if I skipped over anything. They shut down. They just go, hey man, this guy's an asshole, and I don't know how to deal with this. Sometimes you have to be firm and go, no, that's not okay. Sorry. Go back and look again. Go back and check. This is not acceptable, or I'm not going to allow it, or whatever. You need to speak like that. But you don't, I've seen foreigners that have tried to intimidate other Thais and they got the shit beat out of them. And I've seen foreigners. I talked the other day about the foreigner who was with a Thai girl in Cambodia, and he just completely, I mean, she's Cambodian, they're different than Thais, but she's Asian, and they generally, well, at least Cambodians and Thais kind of deal with things sometimes the same way. You start yelling at them, screaming at them, and they lock up. Or somebody comes to their aid and beats the piss out of you, But most of the time that doesn't happen, but there's no reason to get extreme and start, getting excessive. There's just absolutely no reason for it. And one last thing, and I've talked about this before, and this mainly goes for foreigners. It pays not to talk smack. It pays because you can talk shit to a Thai, to a foreigner, whatever, but especially if it's a Thai, that may be a Thai. You don't know how powerful they are. You don't know their position. You don't know their family's position. You don't know what they may be able to do for you in the future. And obviously, maybe you talk smack to some, some girl working at Starbucks or some guy working at Starbucks. It's probably not a big deal. But if you go in somewhere and the guy is dressed in street clothes, and maybe he happens to be a cop, maybe he happens to work for the government, maybe he happens to be somebody who can pull some strings. And if you're nice to the guy and you become friends with him, it will benefit you. As opposed to being a dick and talking smack about him or about the country. So it just pays all the way around, even with bar girls. You just don't, you don't basically, oh man, you tell her friend, oh yeah, she was fantastic in the sack, great head. To me, that's just idiotic. You keep your business to yourself, and they do that in the bars a lot. They talk, and if they ask you something, some guys will mouth off, and they may think they're being funny, but it gets around, and then, may not be a good thing. So, talking smack is not really good here. If you ever watch any of the Muay Thai fighters, I'm talking about foreign Muay Thai fighters and Thai fighters. They tend to be very humble and they don't talk a lot of smack. They wait until they have to get into it, and then they let their, they let their fighting ability do the talking. And I think that's very important, because here, generally nobody's going to come up to you and start beating the piss out of you for no reason. They're just not going to do it, or they want your money. I've never been threatened to where somebody wanted my money here. Like, hey, give me your money, I'm going to rob you. Never. In Cambodia, I had it happen once, and I was with my buddy. Two guys came up to us, and he's a big guy. He couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag, but he's a big guy. And then I was standing there, and they came up, and we thought they were going to try to roll us. And we just stood up to them. And fortunately, they didn't have any guns or anything, so we didn't get in any trouble. But, we weren't talking smack to them. We didn't talk any shit. We just happened to be on the side of the road trying to figure out where we were going. So, anyway, anybody got anything else? Any other ones? Anybody? Is there anybody out there? Does anybody hear me? Topless girls. What about topless girls? Oh yeah. That's not a good one. That's not a good one. Throwing money at somebody is not. It's definitely not good. And that's a form of defacing the money, because it's never that empty when I'm there. That's because you like to talk. You and Lori and Beyond Trinity. Oh yeah, I didn't write that down. Oh, yeah. When you go into places, generally you need to take your shoes. Obviously you're coming into the mall, you don't take your shoes off. You're going into somebody's house, you take your shoes off. I think it's much cleaner that way. I mean, as long as somebody doesn't have really stinky feet, which I've had that happen. Toothpick at the table. No, I haven't said anything about it. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. The toothpick is so that you don't have to pick your teeth right out in the open. You basically put the toothpick in your mouth and use the toothpick that way. I don't know if you mean something else, though. But I mean, like, what's this guy's name? Spignesi. The two in the fountain at Bangkok. Well, I mean, that's kind of, that kind of goes without saying. You do that anywhere, you're gonna have problems. Try taking your top off and standing in the middle of Times Square. You think some cop's not going to come up to you and go, hey, I'm going to arrest you, put your top on. We're not talking about at a nude beach. I mean, take your top off, do something stupid like, paint a wall in Chiang Mai. Anything stupid like that, really, you shouldn't even have to be told that. And I noticed something about Nicholas a long time ago, that he likes to grab things and look at them. Like, if I have a pen and it's a new pen, he'll grab it and he'll start, looking at it. And I'm like, hey, is that your pen? No. Well, then why are you messing with it? Instead of saying, hey, could I take a look at your pen? No, he won't do that. So now he started to do it. He doesn't do it as much, but that's kind of the same thing, where it goes along with, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and I don't care what anybody thinks. And for him, he was a lot younger. He just didn't. He was just curious. But here, if you're an adult, you need to. That's why I say know before you go, man. You need to learn. You need to learn a few things. Just the way it is. So, don't be taking your top off. I mean, listen, I'm not going to complain. Some chicks walk into Starbucks and they're all butt naked. Well, I might complain depending on how they look, but you know what I mean. I don't want them sitting down on a table. Oof. Yeah, that's definitely not good. You know, the feet are the lowest part of the body. You know, you're putting them on the money, which has the king on. That's not very smart. That's a no-no. You're lucky you're doing it with her. She probably chewed you out. I don't ever get that really from my wife. Not anymore. I don't get told these things. I just don't usually do them most of the time. Sometimes, you know, when I'm hanging out with my buddies, we might get a little loud. Now, we don't mean it in a way obnoxious loud. We just mean that sometimes we talk a little louder than we should. And the other thing was, and I didn't say this one, is that if you are in a negative situation, let's say you're in a taxi, and the taxi driver is going, I don't know where you want to go. You know, you don't say to your buddy, this guy is a fucking moron. He's a fucking asshole. Because what they'll pick up is the swear words. They'll pick that up. They won't know what anything else. So if you just went, oh, this guy's he's a dolt. He's a moron. You know, he's a knucklehead. They're probably not going to understand you. But if you say, he's a motherfucking, you know, or he's a cocksucker or something like that, you're asking for problems. You're just exasperating the problem. What is this? Going to see a temple, dress certain customs. Don't wear shorts. I mean, you know, to me, these things are a little bit. I don't want to say excessive. That's the wrong word. You know, if you're in Thailand and you want to make a good impression of yourself, like, you know, if I go out somewhere, like if I come to the mall, I don't care. People are everywhere. I'm looking at people right now. They're men, women. They're in shorts. They're in flip-flops. You know, a lot of people wear sandals here, and I think that's okay if you're in a informal setting. But if you go out to dinner with somebody at a nice place, you are, say, at immigration, you're at the temple, we're in a formal setting. You wear long pants, you dress smart, and you know, the other thing that people don't think about, I mean, I don't think about it because I'm generally very clean, but some people, they have a hard time showering regularly. Some people, you know, maybe they've been backpacking for 4 or 5 days and they just think it's okay to go into some nice restaurant in the clothes that they're in and they stink and, you know, they got their backpack with them and stuff. That's just not cool. You know, dress smart, be clean, and, you know, if you're a guy, that'll go a long ways in just getting you halfway to a woman. You know, if you're wearing a shirt, a white shirt, and it's got, you know, strawberry jelly mashed into it, and you got yellow pit stains on it, and you're wearing some old shorts that got, you know, your balls hanging out and your boxers hanging out, that's not going to go over very well. You don't make a very good impression. Not that it's all that important, but, you know, like, it can be important depending on where you go and what you're doing, you know. So, those are a few of my tips for staying out of trouble and not making a jackass out of yourself. Maybe I should have named the stream, How Not to Make a Jackass Out of Yourself. How to what's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking out. See, this is the thing. It takes me a long time to think of certain words sometimes. Not refrain. Whatever, how not to be a jackass. Because some of the things, you know. Oh, the other thing is that if you are drunk, this is another one. I didn't write this one down. I just thought of this one. If you're drunk, well, one thing is not to speak loudly on the telephone in a environment where there are a lot of people. If you throw up in a taxi, you will be asked to pay, because that guy is either going to have to spend time cleaning up your puke, or he's going to have to pay someone. And it can range, depending on the amount of puke, from say 500 to 1,000 baht, even higher, but generally 500 to 1,000 baht. How do I know this? Because Alex has thrown up in the back of a taxi before. Nikki has thrown up in the back of a taxi a long time ago. And you know, it wasn't intentional, but I don't know what you mean, Carl. You're saying going into a temple. What are you talking about, though? I mean, you go into an older temple, you're going into a temple, you need to wear long pants. Almost always. Some places may get away with going in with shorts on, but if there are monks there, generally you're going to be asked to put something on, like a sarong. Dennis, are you even out there? I have no way of knowing. I didn't plan to do a stream today, but then I just went, why not? I haven't done one from outside. Some temples rent out, well, some of them just give you, the patung, you just borrow it. Same thing with open-toed shoes. I figured it's hot walking, and I kind of meant older on tourist stuff back here. I don't understand that. I mean, you know, I don't understand, what does this mean? Going to see a temple, dress, certain customs. As far as the religious part of it, they're very tolerant about what you do and don't do. They're tolerant about, you know, there are some people who they can't kneel down for a long period of time, so they just sit on their rear end, you know. Well, all you have to do is go to Ayutthaya, Carl, and there's you know, or Sukhothai, and there's a lot of temples there. I mean, you know, there are old temples all over Thailand. Who was the looker? I don't know. I didn't even see who you're talking about. Oh yeah, that's in bad taste. Sure. Hey, if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for us tourists, you'd be in bad shape. And you know what? They tell you to fuck off. They'd be like, I don't care. We'll make it somehow, because if there's one thing that Thais are, is they're very pragmatic. I learned that a long time ago. They're very pragmatic. They don't care. They'll just find some way to make it work, you know? Apparently she's sick, this girl. Every time I say, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Today it was, I'm okay, so I think she's sick. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know what else bar girls would start without you. Actually, they wouldn't. Yeah, Carl, I don't know what you're getting at. I really don't understand what you're trying to get at. You know. I mean, listen, there are girls who they get to the point where they're like, hey, I got no money, I got no food, I can't pay the rent, I'm in bad shape, I need one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. But generally, they're able to eat. They may be borrowing money, or they may be eating at one of their friends' house or something. But a lot of times they live together, or they live with one or two people, and they share expenses. And if one person doesn't have money, then that's what the other people are there for. It's a support system. Even bar girls have friends that, come on. They're not all bad. Longhorns, are you done already? Yes, Sawadee Cup. Oh, Sawadee. Yeah. So where are we at? That's it, huh? Those are all the things that'll get you into trouble. Oh, one other thing. I said, are you finished with what you were doing this morning? One other thing is, if you promise to pay a working girl a certain price, generally, unless they completely don't live up to their end of the bargain, just pay them. Pay them to get rid of them. Because, let's say that you say to the girl, I'm going to give you $3,000. And then you go, oh, I'm sorry, I only have $2,200. Is that okay? Fuck no, it's not all right. You better get your ass to the ATM. It's all about the money, man, You gotta make that money, honey. I've known a few guys who they made it a regular practice to take chicks from bars or wherever, and then they'd go home with them, and then the girl was expecting to be paid, and then the guy was like, oh no, I'm not giving you anything, and either a few things can happen. The guy gets hit over the head with a beer bottle. The girl sulks or makes a stink and eventually leaves, or she ends up getting her money, or she comes back with people, which that doesn't happen very often, but you don't want to stiff them. Sometimes the girls will, listen, there's been times many, many years ago when I first came over here, there were times the chick just wanted a place to stay. She just wanted to hang out with a nice guy, a guy being decent to her, a guy who would buy her something to eat. And then she'll just be like, listen, I don't want to go all the way home. Your place is right down the street. Can I stay with you? Okay. And in the morning, she's gone. She's not like, where's my bread? I need the duckies. I need to see the duckies. The place is empty. Over here it's not. Hello, trolls. Hello, lurkers. Yeah, well, I wouldn't expect that all the time there, Mitch. I don't give a shit how handsome you are. Eventually, she's gotta pay the bills, you know. So I know many guys who they've gone with girls and the girls ended up cracking them because, you know, the guys are like, oh, she wants this much money, I'm not gonna give it to her. They bitched and moaned about 500 baht, and then, you know, the girl was like, hey, I need that. You promised me. And the guy's trying to stiff her out of it, you know. I will say that one time, no connection, huh? Don't know what happened there. I didn't see anything drop off. How about now? We have a connection now? Maybe not. Oh well, it's back, so. Hey man, listen, I do the best I can. I have the fastest internet that is possible. There's absolutely no faster internet that I can get with the service that I have, AIS. So there's nothing I can do about it. So if it dropped off, it wasn't because of me. Sorry. And let's see here. Yeah, back, everything. Yeah, back. Anyway, so True is so much better. Ugh. Are you kidding me? I have True internet at home. I have True, and I have it wired to my laptop. Yeah, I don't know where I was. You're gonna have to remind me. I have it wired to my house, and let me tell you, the Wi-Fi is in and out all the time. I mean, I have problems with that Wi-Fi. Sometimes I just go, fuck this, I'm gonna use the 4G. And the 4G is expensive. The 4G is 1,605 baht a month, where the internet service is 1,282. So I pay almost $100 a month for my internet service. Yeah, well, not paying bar girls, that's not smart. I mean, if you want problems, a lot of times you'll get away with it if that's what you really want to do. There's guys out there, they've made a practice out of doing that. You take the girl and they just go, fuck you, I'm not paying. But like I say here, everything comes back around. You say the wrong thing to somebody, you do somebody wrong. It's karma, man. Karma's a bitch. And here, karma will hurt you. You know. I can't remember who it was or what the deal was, but I do remember that I said something negative about some chick. She was a regular girl. I said something kind of negative about her. I don't know about her or something like that. I said it to her friend. I don't know, you know. And her friend went and told the girl, and then the girl was like, well, I liked you, but I don't want to go out with you now because you said something bad to my friend. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. No, that was it, boom, no more, sorry. You're out of the equation. She didn't like me that much. But if you want to get in deep shit, just go here for trying to take a piece of apple pie off. Wait, oof. I don't even want to go there. Apple pie with your toes? That's a good one. Yeah, that works. Let me eat some apple pie with my toes. Well, that is what it is. You're basically, you know, stealing her money. Oh, an apple. I thought it meant an apple pie. May sabaya. Hả? ปวดหัวไม่ได้กินยาทำไมอ่ะอ่ะก็กินโนโรฟินพาราโอเครู้แล้วไม่อร่อย เป็นหวัดเหรอฮะเป็นหวัด She's got a headache and a cold, but she don't want to take medicine. I'm like, well, it's not going to get better until it gets better. You take some aspirin or something, maybe you won't have a headache. Anyway, where are we at? We're at about 90 minutes here. Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, sometimes, I mean, you know, what are the girls, what are they there for? If they are working and they're sleeping with you for money, they are a prostitute. They are a working girl in that sense. Exchanging sex for money. And you decide, oh, I don't want to pay her, or I'm going to jip her, I'm only going to pay her this or pay her that. Basically, you're taking food out of her mouth. It's her, you know, it's like you're cheating somebody. You could be cheating Starbucks. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna reach behind and take their pie and take a cookie, and I'm gonna go make myself a coffee, and then I'm gonna tell them, nah, I'm not paying for it. Except it's worse, you know. So that kind of stuff to me is just basic. Be decent to other people. It doesn't matter what the hell they're doing. I don't care if she is a working girl. You don't have to be bad to her, you know. I know some people may not agree with me, but I think most people understand that they're doing it for a reason. That's their way of making a living. Anyway, guys, I got stuff to do. It's time to get on out of here. So I'm going to stream on Sunday. I'm going to try to have a good topic. Today was all right. It's not bad. And then, so it's Sunday I'm going to stream, and then probably, well, I'm leaving, Monday? Probably Tuesday, I'll stream again from Vietnam. Maybe while having a bowl of pho. A little pho. I'm going to try to find one of the top 3 pho places in Hanoi, where they have to line up. People line up for hours to have it. So I don't know if I'll be able to find that place or get to it or whatever. I'm going to stay in the old quarter, so pho tin. Yes, I want some. What is it? Banh mi. And there was something else that I want. And I saw it today, and I don't remember what the name of it is, but when I see it again, I saved it. When I see it again, I'll know what it is, and I'm going to get it. It's supposed to be really, really good, and it's, I think it's not in Hue, it's in, no, this place is in Quay Non or something. It's, what's the name of that place? Trai. You have to go there by train to, I don't have my paper with me, but it's, you have to go there. You can't go to Quay Non. You have to go to True, I don't know how to say it, True Die or something like that. I forget what it is, but there's a dish there, Bun Bo Hue. No, that's not it. That's not it. This one uses, yeah, I did see that one though. This one has, it uses shallots, and they give you little cups, like 10 cups per meal or something. I don't remember what it is, but anyway, I'm looking forward to going there and sampling some of the cuisine there. So that should be pretty good. I love Vietnamese food. My top foods are not in any order: Italian, Thai, Mexican, Vietnamese, and what's the other one? Italian. Hello. Italian, Mexican, Thai, Vietnamese, Japanese. Those are my favorite cuisines. Japanese is always good. Not in any particular order. So, anyway, thank you for joining me. See you later. Have a good day, night, wherever you are. And maybe I'll see you on Sunday. Bun Bio. I don't know. I'll have to find out. I'm gonna have to find out. I don't remember what it is. Is that what it is? Yep. Later, guys. Like I said, I'll be back on Sunday, and Monday I'll be traveling and checking out, doing some reconnaissance work over there, and hopefully Tuesday I'll be set up. Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yep. I want to try that. There's a lot of things I want to try there. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. So, I want to find a good place to kayak, not near Hanoi, but farther south. I want to maybe take a little boat somewhere, have some guy drive me around, like to where I'm in the middle of nowhere, and if I didn't have him there, I would be lost. And yeah, I want to try the food, so should be good. Anyway, that's all I got. So thank you very much. Thanks, Alvin, for that. Thank you, everybody. And until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Chok di leo jer kan mai.